Rugged Alaska Peninsula Refuge offers a daunting but rewarding challenge. Many of the trophy barren ground caribou were taken on Alaska Peninsula. At the narrows between Upper and Lower Ugashic Lakes, the world's record grayling was caught. Basharoff National Wildlife Refuge is dominated by Basharoff Lake, the second largest lake in Alaska, and a nursery for the world's second largest run of sockeye salmon. Basharoff and Ugashic lakes and their tributaries produce several million salmon each year for the important Bristol Bay fishery. The abundant salmon also fuel one of the world's largest concentrations of brown bears, a population estimated between 2,000 and 3,000 animals. These marvelous lands are the breeding grounds for millions of the nation's song and shorebirds, the cradle for much of the continent's waterfowl, and home to a dazzling array of seabirds. Wolves, bears, caribou, moose, walrus, to name just a few magnificent mammals, thrive on refuge lands. Each year, tens of millions of salmon return to spawn in refuge waters, waters that are also alive with rainbow trout, Arctic grayling, northern pike, and more. These lands and waters are a wondrous gift we have given ourselves, precious places where our natural heritage is being conserved and protected. Let us celebrate the national ocean spires and headlands along the coast and scattered across the seas of Alaska make up this unique refuge. Much of the refuge is on the 1,100-mile-long Aleutian chain, volcanic islands set in a storm-lashed but food-rich sea, perfect for seabirds. Seabirds spend their lives on the open ocean and come ashore only to nest and raise their young. Most of the seabirds in North America, more than 40 million, nest on Alaska Maritime. Each species has its own nesting preference. Puffins in burrows near the tops of cliffs, murres on ledges, kittiwakes on the cliff face, and others among the boulders close to the water. One of the most spectacular seabird colonies that can readily be visited is on St. Paul, one of the Pribilof Islands in the Bering Sea. Scientists visiting the Aleutian Islands. After all, if you do not know what you have, how can you tell when changes occur? Nowitna National Wildlife Refuge is another of the great interior refuges. Its wetlands formed and nourished by the Nowitna River. The grassy margins of the many ponds and lakes provide nesting spots for ducks and geese. The Nowitna River, a nationally designated wild and scenic river, is ideal for float trips as it meanders for more than 200 miles through the refuge. Archaeological evidence shows that people have trapped and fished in the interior of Alaska along rivers like the Yukon and Nowitna for more than 10,000 years. Today, the tradition continues. Migrating salmon are smoke-dried and provide food through the long winter months. At Cape Pierce and at other places along the coast, thousands of walrus haul out on the sand to warm up, often under the watchful eye of biologists who track the health of the herd. Yukon Delta National Wildlife Refuge is an immense treeless wetland, a 26 million-acre delta formed by two mighty rivers, the Yukon and the Kuskokwim. Nearly one-third of the refuge is covered with lakes, ponds, and streams, interspersed with bogs and thickets. Ideal nesting conditions for waterfowl, shorebirds, and other species. Every spring, the birds arrive on Yukon Delta by the tens of millions. They've come from almost every state and province in North America, as well as many countries around the Pacific. Yukon Delta is one of the most productive nesting areas in North America, producing millions of birds. Within the boundaries of the refuge are more than 40 native villages scattered along the rivers and on the coast. The Yupik people have lived here for thousands of years and have always depended on the delta and its abundant natural resources for their subsistence. As the weather warms, the families traditionally go out to their summer fish camps to enjoy the land and collect food for the management. Travel on the refuge's specially designed and scientifically equipped vessel, the Techlaw. Refuge biologists monitor seabird nesting activity at 10 sites. These surveys are the basis for determining population trends and provide early warning if a species is in trouble. Special efforts are made to help those species whose numbers are in decline. The refuge's greatest success was bringing back the endangered Aleutian Canada goose. This small relative of the common Canada goose was almost wiped out by foxes that fur trappers had released on their nesting islands. Today, there are more than 30,000 geese, and they are no longer listed as endangered. Izembek National Wildlife Refuge is a crucial resting and feeding area for the 250,000 birds that migrate through each year. The refuge was established. Gray wolves, whose fur can be black or white or anywhere in between, are common on Basharoff Refuge. On the vast tracts of tundra, caribou can be seen on their restless wanderings. Along the rugged cliffs above Puyallup Bay, seabirds gather in massive numbers. And above it all soars a peregrine falcon. Kodiak National Wildlife Refuge was established in 1941, primarily to protect the giant Kodiak brown bear. Some 3,000 bears roam this enchanted emerald isle of steep mountains, sparkling rivers, and rugged coastline. Kodiak brown bears, among the largest of all bears, can be up to 9 feet tall and weigh close to 1,500 pounds. Bears, and bald eagles as well, thrive on Kodiak due to the massive salmon spawning runs. From May to early fall, the bears gather along the streams and gorge themselves. The refuge's salmon are important not only to the bears, eagles, and sport anglers, but also to the state and local economy. Togiak National Wildlife Refuge has wetlands crucial to waterfowl, bays that harbor marine mammals, coastal cliffs crammed with seabird colonies, as well as 1,500 miles of fish-filled rivers that tempt anglers from around the world. Popular are the Connecticut, Good News, and Togiak rivers that flow through the refuge. The river and its tributaries attract breeding waterfowl and songbirds, which nest in the basin's extensive wetlands and forests. Moose, drawn to this lush valley, feed on the willows that flourish because of the river's frequent flooding. The refuge also attracts researchers and volunteers who spend the summer in its isolated field camp, conducting biological surveys. Aquatic plants in the lakes are identified and their location noted as part of the refuge's plant mapping and habitat protection program. Water samples from around the refuge are chemically analyzed for the presence of minerals and contaminants from historic and current gold mining activities within the refuge's watershed.
Zone 3 is...
Plant species are systematically identified within sample plots throughout the refuge. All this data will help establish an information baseline, so changes in the environment